Indy, a budding writer with a penchant for the dramatic and a massive crush on Rhysand, found herself in a predicament. Rhysand, her brother Lucian's business partner and undeniably the hottest man she'd ever laid eyes on, was also her boyfriend. Well, sort of. They'd been officially together for a month, but their relationship was more hand-holding than anything remotely resembling intimacy. Frustrated, Indy blurted out a breakup ultimatum. Rhysand, unfazed, calmly unbuttoned his shirt, one button at a time, his gaze steady on hers. Indy remained stoic until he reached for his belt buckle, then squeaked, "Stop." "So, I hear I'm your muse?" he asked, a sly smile playing on his lips. Indy's eyes darted between the godlike figure sprawled on her sofa and the balcony, mentally calculating the pain of a 6-story fall versus the mortification of online exposure. Rhysand's voice, a low, devilish murmur, broke through her thoughts. Water droplets trailed down his sculpted jaw, across his chiseled chest, his rock-hard abs, finally disappearing into "If I were," he trailed off, leaving the sentence tantalizingly unfinished. Indy, hiding under her hoodie, silently yearned to be that water droplet. "Were you spying on me in the shower?" Rhysand accused. "No," Indy defended. "I saw you fair and square when you went swimming with Lucian." Rhysand chuckled. "The girl who's terrified of water suddenly wants to hang out at the pool? Now I understand." His fingers danced across his phone screen, stopping at a particular online post. Indy's stomach plummeted. He'd found her anonymous fiction account, a series of short stories featuring a rotating cast of dreamy boyfriends, all named Zephyr, and a recurring heroine named Juniper, thinly veiled versions of Rhysand and herself. Rhysand raised an eyebrow. "This size? How did you know that?" he asked, his voice laced with amusement. Indy pulled her hoodie tighter, mumbling, "I guessed." He scrolled further. "No explicit content. At least you have some boundaries." "Boundaries?" Indy bristled. "I have no real-world experience. My readers mock my kissing scenes, call me perpetually single, which I haven't been for a month." She glared at him, the reminder of their chaste relationship stinging. Their relationship had begun with a relentless pursuit on Indy's part, fueled by infatuation and a healthy dose of desperation. Now, a month later, Rhysand had stumbled upon her secret online life, threatening to unravel everything. Defeated, she covered her eyes, preparing to mourn the death of her short-lived romance. "Let's break up," she mumbled dramatically. "Life is meaningless." Rhysand pulled her closer, tugging off her hood. "Break up?" he asked, a lazy smile in his voice. "Just because I haven't let you have your way with me after a month?" Indy bristled. "Does your brother know how you're playing with me?" she retorted, hitting below the belt. Rhysand chuckled. "Playing might be the wrong word." "Oh! What should I call it then?" "Heartless abandonment." He ruffled her hair. "Shouldn't your young mind be occupied with more positive things?" Furious, Indy stormed off to her room, slamming the door with theatrical force. She furiously typed away on her laptop, writing a bitter breakup scene for her latest story, finding solace in the fictional heartbreak. Deep down, she knew Rhysand hadn't been head over heels in love with her. It was more a combination of not disliking her and indulging her brother's request to give her a chance. Later, her best friend, Poppy, called. "Why this sudden ending? Trouble in paradise?" "We're breaking up," Indy declared, her voice thick with self-pity. Rhysand hadn't even bothered to check on her after their argument. Poppy, ever the supportive friend, didn't hesitate. "Good for you. There's a mixer tonight. Wanna go?" Indy, on a whim, agreed. She dressed to kill, hoping to make Rhysand regret his indifference. But when she left her room, Rhysand was gone. Tears pricked her eyes as she took a cab to the mixer. Poppy greeted her with a wave, and Indy downed 3 drinks without a word. "What happened?" Poppy asked, surprised. "You always say looking at his face makes you forget your anger." Indy just sighed, unwilling to relive her humiliation. Poppy put an arm around her. "I told you older men were trouble." She gestured towards a group of young men playing games. "See? Fresh meat. First-year athletes. Feel that youthful energy." As if on cue, one of the guys, wearing a white t-shirt, turned and flashed a charming smile, revealing dimples and pearly white teeth. Indy sighed. "Maybe." Poppy gave her a knowing look, a mixture of pity, sympathy, and a good dose of judgment. Indignant, Indy declared, "Just wait till I get my hands on that." Before she could finish her sentence, Rhysand's face appeared on her phone screen. Indy quickly tried to shield the camera as she answered. Where are you? It's loud. Indy, fueled by liquid courage and Poppy's amused expression, retorted, none of your business. Still mad, Rhysand flipped the camera, revealing a table laden with hot pot ingredients, a bubbling cauldron of chili peppers, and a black swan cake from a bakery an hour away. I heard a certain someone can be appeased with hot pot. And just in case, I got your favorite cake. Indy was about to argue when Poppy shoved the white t-shirt guy into her lap, knocking her hand away from the camera. Poppy's playful smirk faltered as she saw the face on the screen. Lemon, isn't that your brother? Indy paled. Lucian? Lucian's icy glare pierced through the screen. Indy, have you lost your mind? Indy, now thoroughly panicked, stammered, Lucian, you're back. Before she could explain, Rhysand smoothly intervened. It's my fault. I upset her. She's just blowing off steam. Don't be too hard on her. Indy stared, dumbfounded. She could practically smell the tea brewing. Lucian grabbed her by the scruff of her neck, dragging her away from the phone as he launched into a lecture. Indy started crying, loud and exaggerated. Her boyfriend was not only indifferent but also manipulative. She refused to get into Lucian's car, clinging to Rhysand's jacket and demanding a piggyback ride home. Was I wrong? Rhysand asked. Indy bit his neck in response. Ow! Rhysand pulled away. What was that for? Don't you like the green tea version of me? Indy froze, realizing he was mimicking her writing. You're supposed to use that on rivals, not me. Rivals? The guy in the video? I don't even know his name. Indy huffed. Sounds like a regret, Rhysand said, his voice unreadable. How about I carry you home and get his number for you? Indy fell silent. Rhysand's detached demeanor was more brotherly than romantic. Just like Lucian. Burying her face in his neck, she mumbled, I don't want green tea. I want a puppy. Say something cheesy. Rhysand chuckled. I can't. Indy pulled out her phone. I'll teach you. Clearing her throat, she recited, Are you blind? You bumped into my heart. Rhysand's expression remained neutral, but Indy noticed the slight flush creeping up his neck. She continued, encouraged by his reaction. You must have been a soda in your past life. You make me fizz with happiness. Rhysand's lips twitched. Indy pressed on, her voice growing louder. 1,000 lanterns light up the night sky. I want to live at your house. Rhysand, I think you're a book. The more I read you, the more I want to sleep. Rhysand stopped, a frown creasing his brow. Here we go again. His ears, however, were undeniably pink. Indy giggled. Rhysand, I'm never writing clean fiction again. The consequence of her boldness? Rhysand dumped her on the sidewalk. She stumbled and fell, slightly scraping her knee. He hailed a cab and took her home, his home, to be precise. Inside, Indy made a beeline for his bedroom, only to be steered towards the guest room she'd colonized with her belongings and matching couple items she'd foisted upon him. Rhysand found her makeup remover wipes. Take your makeup off. I'll get the antiseptic for your knee. So, he'd brought her back simply because his place was closer. Deflated, Indy grumbled, Rhysand, let's have a fight. Rhysand dabbed her knee with antiseptic. Why? I want to know how you'd argue with me. Ow! Rhysand pressed down harder, silencing her. Is that another one of your cheesy lines? Where do you get this stuff? Indy cowered under his gaze. Later, tucked into bed, Indy tested the waters. Rhysand, will you tell me a story? He sighed. What kind of story? Your story, Indy said, peering at him over the covers. Rhysand smiled. Do you want the jealous Rhysand, the CO Rhysand, or the obsessive Rhysand? Indy grinned. I want them all. Rhysand leaned closer, his voice a soft whisper. Listen carefully. Indy nodded eagerly. If you ever sneak out to flirt with other men again, he murmured, I'll break your legs. The next morning, Poppy texted, still alive? Indy replied with a smiley face. Poppy sent a virtual, spill the tea. 200 words minimum. Indy accepted, embellishing the night's events. Poppy was enthralled. So you went full-on crazy, huh? Wait. Even after all that flirting, he didn't react? Maybe he genuinely thinks you're too young. Too young? Indy bristled. We're only 5 years apart. Poppy's reply was pointed. Everywhere. Indy hung up, fuming. At work, Indy overheard her colleagues discussing a coworker's recent heartbreak. Her coworker's older boyfriend had dumped her for his ex. The conversation struck a nerve. The older, more experienced man, the younger, naive girl. It sounded eerily familiar. Her colleague, noticing Indy's distress, asked gently, "Everything okay with your gentleman friend?" Peachy, Indy lied. After work, Rhysand picked her up, handing her a paper bag. "What's this?" "Candied hawthorns," Rhysand said, gesturing for her to buckle up. "You said you wanted some this morning." "So thoughtful." Indy took a bite, then asked Rhysand, "Have you ever had an ex?" Rhysand paused. "Yes." The candy suddenly tasted bitter. "Ugh, you player." Indy spat. Rhysand just stared. This wasn't working. Even if she couldn't win his heart, she deserved some physical affection. She couldn't stand the constant temptation. That night, she chose the scariest horror movie she could find, hoping to exploit her fear for some cuddling. She made Rhysand wear the matching bunny pajamas she'd bought and snuggled up next to him on the sofa. Halfway through the movie, she made her move. "Rhysand, I'm scared." She whimpered, reaching out to grab him. Her hand met empty space. Rhysand was huddled in the corner of the sofa, wrapped in her blanket. "Me too," he said. Indy was defeated. She crawled over to him, replacing the pillow he was clutching with herself. His scent enveloped her. "I shouldn't have picked this movie," she mumbled, feigning distress. "I'm going to have nightmares." "Let's turn it off then," he said, sounding genuinely concerned. Had he finally gotten the hint? Together, she whispered, looking up at him coyly. "Definitely not." Men. Indy initiated Plan B. Lucian had told her Rhysand couldn't hold his liquor. A sober Rhysand was a fortress, a drunk Rhysand might be more malleable. She poured 2 glasses of wine, claiming she needed it to sleep. Rhysand raised an eyebrow, his eyes twinkling with amusement and something else Indy couldn't quite decipher. She nervously clinked glasses with him, forcing a cheerful smile. As the alcohol took hold, Rhysand's cheeks flushed, and his gaze softened, drawing her in. Lucian hadn't been exaggerating. "Rhysand," she ventured. He responded, his voice husky. "What's wrong?" Indy, flustered, changed tack. "My reader sent me essays about how to kiss and what it feels like." She paused, her eyes fixed on his lips. "They say a guy's lips are soft, like jelly. Is that true?" Rhysand chuckled. "Do you want some jelly?" Even Indy, the instigator of this conversation, blushed. She managed a small To her astonishment, Rhysand leaned in. Drunk Rhysand was surprisingly compliant, his doe-like eyes matching his bunny pajamas. Indy pounced. When their lips met, her mind went blank. The carefully memorized kissing tutorials vanished. Neither of them moved. Indy, fueled by a mixture of desperation and determination, deepened the kiss. Rhysand's breathing grew heavier, his face even redder, his lips slightly swollen. "Okay, stop," he mumbled, pulling away. Indy stared at him, bewildered. "Why?" Rhysand didn't answer, just stood up and walked towards his bedroom, his steps slightly unsteady. Indy trailed after him, protesting, "I know I'm not good at it, but everyone has a first time." The response was the slam of his bedroom door, followed by the click of the lock. Indy stood there, speechless and utterly defeated. Indy, fuming, stormed out of Rhysand's apartment, grabbing her bag and leaving before he could even finish making breakfast. She couldn't stomach the sight of him, not after last night. At her desk, scrolling through her phone pre-work, a message popped up. "I'm downstairs." She ignored it. Another message, "Brought you breakfast. Come down." Still ignored. Men needed to be put in their place. "I see your colleague, Willow. Should I ask her to bring it up?" Indy panicked. "No." She rushed downstairs to find Rhysand in the lobby, looking ridiculously handsome in a tailored suit, holding a brightly colored lunchbox. Indy glared at him, refusing to speak. Rhysand, unfazed, asked, "Skipping breakfast again? Don't want another stomachache, do you?" Indy intensified her glare. "Not talking to you." Rhysand chuckled. "After what you did to me last night while I was drunk, you're going to give me the cold shoulder?" The lobby was filling up with arriving colleagues. Indy clapped a hand over his mouth. "Shut up." Her gossipy coworkers would have a field day if they overheard. Speaking of which, Willow, her senior colleague, stood there, keycard in hand, eyes practically sparkling. Indy forced a smile. "Morning, Willow." Willow nodded, approaching them. "Morning. Boyfriend brought you breakfast." Rhysand beamed, handing Indy the lunchbox. "Yes, she's been in a mood since last night. Won't even eat." He sighed dramatically. Girls and their delicate sensibilities. He was doing this on purpose. Indy's fists clenched. Willow's eyes widened. "Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on her. We should head up now, it's almost time." She dragged Indy away, peppering her with questions. "Did you do something to him?" "Wow, Indy, I didn't know you had it in you." "I didn't. Nothing happened." "Don't be modest," Willow winked. "Spill the tea. All the details." Indy spent the rest of the day under Willow's knowing, slightly suggestive gaze, fueled by Rhysand's carefully chosen words. She was furious. When Rhysand arrived to pick her up, she stomped off in the opposite direction, only to be intercepted by Willow, who promptly shoved her into his arms. "Where do you think you're going?" A modern woman owns her actions. Trapped, Indy was bundled into Rhysand's car. "Japanese for dinner?" he asked cheerfully. "No," Indy sulked. "Why would you want to eat with someone you're so disgusted by?" At a red light, Rhysand gently turned her face towards him. "When was I disgusted by you?" His handsome features, coupled with his soft tone, almost made her cave. Almost. Indy lifted her chin defiantly. "Last night. You locked me out of your room. What was that about? Were you afraid I'd attack you?" Rhysand smiled. "Wouldn't you?" Indy inhaled sharply. "You." A light kiss brushed her lips. She stared, wide-eyed, as Rhysand calmly turned back to the road and drove on. Indy remained dazed all the way to the restaurant, convinced Rhysand must still be drunk. Why else would he initiate a kiss? And was that even legal, considering he'd just driven? Lost in thought, she collided with someone at the entrance. "Sorry," she blurted. The man glanced at her, then at Rhysand. "Fancy meeting you here." Rhysand's grip tightened on her hand. "Indeed." The man smiled. "Your girlfriend? This is your type now." The familiar scent of gossip wafted through the air. Rhysand frowned, clearly not interested in engaging, but Indy, burning with curiosity, pulled him aside. "Who was that?" "A college classmate." "He's cute." Rhysand's lips curved into a slow smile. "He's also my ex-girlfriend's current boyfriend." "Not as cute as you, though," Indy added quickly. Rhysand moved to sit beside her. "So, one kiss and you're all good?" He leaned in, his eyes sparkling with mischief. Indy's heart skipped a beat. Before she could pull away, he kissed her again, a soft, lingering kiss that sent shivers down her spine. Mortified, Indy grabbed the menu, hiding her burning cheeks. She should be playing it cool, but her face felt like it was on fire. "Can you even read that?" Rhysand chuckled, trying to pry the menu away. "Let me see." "I'll look first." Indy held on tight, then changed the subject. "Tell me about your ex. What did that guy mean about my being your type?" "Nothing," Rhysand said dismissively. "What does nothing mean?" Rhysand sighed. "He probably thinks I'm robbing the cradle, looks down on me." That night, Indy called Poppy. "I think Rhysand's hiding something. Why won't he talk about his ex? Do you think he's still hung up on her?" Poppy yawned. "It's late. Don't you have work tomorrow?" "I can't sleep," Indy said, remembering her coworker's heartbreak. "What if Rhysand dumps me and goes back to his ex? I'd die. We haven't even." Poppy hung up. Indy called back, undeterred. After a long ring, Poppy answered, her voice laced with exasperation. "What if his ex cheated on him? Do you have to pick at every scab?" Indy's phone slipped from her hand, landing with a thud on the floor. "Rhysand, cheated on?" She scrambled to retrieve the phone, then dialed Lucian's number. "Lucian, quick question." Lucian's voice sounded tired. "So you finally remember you have a brother. Enjoying your extended stay at Rhysand's?" "Don't be like that. Do you know Rhysand's ex?" A pause, then a no, before he hung up. The next day, Indy arrived at work looking like a raccoon. Willow, noticing her distress, handed her a coffee. "Pace yourself, kid." Indy just stared, speechless. How could she pace herself? Her curiosity was a raging fire. The torture didn't last long. Indy soon encountered the man who might have broken Rhysand's heart, Sawyer, Rhysand's former rival, who was now her new client. The pain hadn't disappeared, it had simply taken a new, more agonizing form. Indy, a mere intern, wouldn't normally interact with high-profile clients. But fate, in the form of her boss giving Sawyer a tour, had other plans. Sawyer, spotting Indy, flashed a knowing smile. "Fancy meeting you here." Indy's forced smile ached. After Sawyer left, her boss assigned her to the project, hinting that success meant early promotion and failure. Well, failure wasn't an option. Indy was essentially a glorified babysitter, tasked with keeping the client happy. She didn't dare tell Rhysand. Her colleagues, buzzing with excitement, interrogated her about Sawyer, now identified as a wealthy, eligible bachelor. Indy downplayed their connection, claiming he was just a college friend of Rhysand's. "Single, huh?" Indy pondered, a mischievous glint in her eye. Later, delivering documents to Sawyer's office, he greeted her with a foxy grin. "You know who I am, right? Rhysand's ex-girlfriend's ex-boyfriend?" Indy ventured. Sawyer paused. "So, you know about Lyra, then?" "Not really." Sawyer beckoned her closer. "Want to hear the story?" Despite the warning bells ringing in her head, Indy couldn't resist. She leaned in, her curiosity winning over her better judgment. Sawyer's voice dripped with amusement. It all started when Rhysand and Lyra were found, sharing a room one morning. Indy's stomach sank. Lyra hadn't just won the race, she'd lapped her. Sawyer explained that during a college retreat, everyone had gotten drunk. The next morning, Rhysand and Lyra emerged from the same room. They were already close friends, and everyone considered them a perfect match. The rest, as they say, was history. Indy seethed with jealousy, but she pressed on. "And then?" Sawyer just smiled. "I liked Lyra too, back then." "So," Indy stared at him. "Did you steal her from Rhysand?" Back at Rhysand's apartment, Indy's silence worried him. He offered her a plate of cut fruit. "Something wrong at work?" Indy shook her head. "Then why the long face?" After much hesitation, Indy blurted, "Can I sleep with you tonight?" Rhysand froze. He looked down at her. "If your brother finds out." "Are you scared of Lucian?" Rhysand raised an eyebrow. "Aren't you?" Indy, picturing Lucian's wrath, conceded. "I promise I won't do anything. Just talk. Lucian won't know." To her surprise, Rhysand agreed. Indy, showered and smelling delicious, slipped into his bed, clinging to him like a koala. Rhysand put down his book, his voice laced with amusement. "Do nothing." "Do nothing," Indy confirmed. He switched off the light. "Go to sleep, then." In the darkness, Indy traced the outline of his abs under his shirt. "Rhysand, if your ex asked you to get back together, would you?" Rhysand captured her hand. "No." Indy's other hand resumed its exploration. "Really?" "Really." Indy drifted off to sleep, dreaming of Lyra. She was just as captivating as in the photo Sawyer had shown her, beautiful and strong. In the dream, Lyra, wearing a white dress, tearfully confessed the real reason for their breakup. Lyra's father had died when she was young, leaving her mother to raise her and her troubled younger brother. Her brother had gotten into a fight, landing a classmate in the hospital. The family demanded compensation, a sum Lyra couldn't afford. Sawyer had stepped in to help. Lyra explained that she'd spent years working to repay him, and now, free from that debt, she'd returned to Rhysand. She asked him if he still wanted to be with her. Rhysand gently pulled her into his arms. The dream was hazy, but Indy distinctly remembered Rhysand's final glance in her direction, a look filled with guilt. She woke up with tears staining her cheeks. Indy moped around for days. Poppy, upon hearing the dream, was both smug for guessing part of the truth and concerned. "I thought you just wanted his body. Lemon, you've fallen hard." Indy mumbled, "Dreams are the opposite of reality." "But didn't Sawyer say Lyra's moving back? Maybe it's a premonition." Indy glared at her, snatching Poppy's iced tea. In her stories, Lyra would be the strong female lead, while Indy would be the insignificant supporting character, a mere plot device to further the main romance. But even supporting characters had feelings. Sawyer, sensing her low spirits, teased, "Lost your confidence?" Indy scoffed. "I'm brimming with confidence." Internally, she was crumbling. That feeling intensified when she saw Lyra in a white dress with Rhysand. At the restaurant entrance, she and Sawyer, Rhysand and Lyra, formed a strange, silent tableau. Lyra was even more stunning in person, and she and Rhysand did look good together. The memory of Rhysand's guilty look flashed through Indy's mind. She looked down, unable to meet his gaze. Then Sawyer slung an arm around her, flashing his signature grin. Fancy meeting you here. Not fancy at all. Indy had been working late, and Sawyer had insisted on driving her to this remote restaurant for a late-night snack. Clearly, he was up to something. Rhysand's smile was different this time, chilling Indy to the bone. His eyes, dark and stormy, fixed on her as he approached. Working late? With him. Indy shoved Sawyer away, stammering, I really was working. He's my client. Rhysand grabbed her wrist. Why didn't you tell me you were working with him? I forgot. Rhysand's laugh was devoid of humor. Earlier, he'd invited her to a college reunion. She'd been about to accept when Sawyer had messaged her about working late. Now she realized it was a setup. What a jerk. She glanced at Sawyer, who was receiving a similar dressing down from Lyra. Sawyer, hands in his pockets, looked utterly unrepentant. Before Indy could process the scene, Rhysand pulled her into his car and drove her home. Inside, he sat her down on the sofa, towering over her. Indy, now calmer, decided to take the offensive. Rhysand, let's break up. Rhysand's face registered shock, then hardened. Why? He leaned closer, his lips inches from hers. Are you tired of me? Or have you fallen for Sawyer? His breath, warm against her face, sent a shiver down her spine. Tears welled up in Indy's eyes. Neither. Rhysand faltered, his gaze softening as he gently wiped away a tear. Talk to me. Why are you crying? His gentler tone only made her cry harder, unleashing a torrent of pent-up emotions. Do you still like Lyra? You spent the night with her. Now you know she had a good reason for breaking up with you. Are you going to get back together? She's so beautiful and successful. Rhysand handed her tissue after tissue, a mixture of amusement and exasperation on his face. You know I can't hold my liquor. I passed out the minute I got to my room. Lyra wandered into the wrong room, drunk, and slept on the floor. Nothing happened. But you dated after that. She did have feelings for me. After that incident, I agreed to give it a try. Then her family had problems, but she didn't tell me. Sawyer helped her. Rhysand stroked her hair, rubbing her back soothingly. After they got together, Lyra fell for Sawyer. She worked hard to repay him, wanting a relationship based on equality. Sawyer, however, thought she was coming back to me, and he's been sulking and trying to break up with her ever since. She told me all this today. So that's why Rhysand had been smiling at the restaurant. Sawyer was being childish, dragging Indy into his drama. Indy looked at the pile of crumpled tissues at her feet, speechless. Rhysand pinched her cheek, his voice laced with amusement. A dream made you this upset? You care that much? Mortified, Indy jumped up. I still want to break up. Rhysand leaned back, watching her with amusement. Tell me, what other reasons do you have? You don't even like me. You won't let me touch you. You act like you're just humoring me. Indy trailed off as Rhysand slowly undid another button on his shirt. You're only dating me because of Lucian. 2 more buttons came undone. Poppy was right. Older men are trouble. I want a puppy. His abs were now on full display. Indy tried to continue, but Rhysand's hand reached for his belt buckle. Finally, she cracked. Stop, she squeaked, covering her nose. Rhysand pulled her into his arms. Your brother warned me you have a short attention span when it comes to guys. What if I made it too easy and you got bored and moved on? I won't, Indy mumbled, nuzzling his face. Rhysand, I love you. I want things to work between us. Rhysand's breath hitched. He scooped her into his arms, carrying her towards his bedroom. Indy's eyes widened as she met his intense gaze. If Lucian finds out. Rhysand smiled, his lips brushing hers. He can yell at me later. Now, be a good girl and give your readers some juicy content. Indy giggled. We'll get flagged.